Hello guys, this is a video on the making of a BUSHLORE clone knife out of an old leaf spring from a truck. This is the knife itself, the finished product. It's a sturdy, heavy-duty knife that would last from generation to generation. This is the leather sheath that I made for it. It's made of thick leather and hand-stitched and riveted for extra strength. I covered the tip of the sheath with shoe glue because it was getting all scratched up with the use while riding on my belt. The knife fits snugly in the sheath. There is no rattling and it won't slide out unless you pull it out. I have several videos on how to make my sheaths if you are interested. Now to test it out, I'm going to take this piece of hardwood and try to make some feathers. I'm not the best by any means with this technique. I'll have to practice more. But as you can see, the knife is doing a pretty good job. It feels great on the hand. The first step is to cut a blank from an old leaf spring. This type of steel is an excellent type for knife making. It has all the right properties. Next, you should heat up the blank and pound it until it's thin enough, the way blacksmiths used to. If you don't have an anvil, try to find a solid base of steel to pound on. Here, I am using an old hydraulic press as a base. Make sure everything is as straight as possible. Once the blank is of the desired thickness, trace the outline of the knife that you like. Here I am using Raymier's BUSHLORE, which is a knife I really admire. Now, grind off all the excess material. I'm using a hand grinder first, which is faster. And when I'm near the final shape, I switch to a bench grinder, which is slower but more precise. This is the bench grinder. Slowly work your way all around the knife, making it of the exact dimensions that you want it. Once you have the shape ready, mark where you want the bevel. In this knife, I want a Scandi grind. And it's back to the bench grinder. This is a very delicate step, getting the bevel right. So be patient and very careful, grinding little by little. Now you have to smooth the edge out with a metal file. You don't want it sharp at all, otherwise the edge will melt in the quenching process. And then get the blade hot enough so that it becomes non-magnetic, and dunk it in the warm engine oil. This is called quenching. Now the knife is super hard. You can test this by running the metal file on the blade, and it should skid rather than scratch. Next step is called tempering. You do this to lower the hardness a bit. You do this by heating the knife to 420 degrees Fahrenheit for about 2 hours. This makes the steel hard enough to hold an edge and takes away the brittleness. You should get a straw yellow color on your blade. Now comes the sharpening, using a coarse stone and switching to finer grits until your knife is sharp enough. For the handle, I'm using mesquite, which is an extremely tough wood, making both scales from a piece of a dry branch and getting them as flat as possible. Then after drilling the holes on the scales, we make sure that everything is lined up nicely. It's looking good so far. Now comes the gluing of the handle. I'm using extra strong glue. You can use epoxy. And we clamp it all together and leave out to dry. After it is completely dry, we then cut the excess wood from the handle using a sharp saw. And it's back to the bench grinder. We need to shape and mold the handle the way you desire. It's getting there. Now, using some sandpaper, you now do the final shaping. Now for the rivets, I am using brass pins. You have to cut them a little bit larger than the width of the handle, so that when you pound on them, they will mushroom out, holding everything tightly. Just be careful not to crack the wood of the scales if you pound too much. With my Dremel tool, I carefully grind the excess of the tips of the pins. The final touch is going to be some linseed oil rubbed on the handle to protect the wood and bring out the beautiful pattern of the mesquite. Leave the knife in the sun so that the wood sucks all the oil in. And there you have it. An awesome knife that will last forever if manufactured properly, especially the tempering part. You should take special care on that aspect. Here's a closer look at the handle. It is not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. That is the whole point of making it myself. It's got character and it will serve me well. It will make a great bushcraft knife. It feels awesome when I hold it. It will be very comfortable to work with. Good balance too. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed my video.